Welcome back to Stocklabs for another market recap. We are finally into 2024. So I hope everybody had a happy new year and enjoyed the holidays, including going back to Christmas and Hanukkah and everything, being with family through December. But it is now time to get back into markets for real. So first week of 2024 was not so hot for the indices. We had the Dow down 59 basis points. That was the best performing index. S&P was down 1.5%. Q's down 3%. And Russell 2000 down 3.7%. Crude was up 3.6%. And gold was off about 1% for the week, and bonds were also off 2.5% for the week. So probably a lot of the action was driven by the bond market. Risk assets have been sort of fixated on yield, long-term yields especially. So those started moving up this week, and NASDAQ didn't like it, S&P didn't like it, Russell didn't like it either. So did kind of, not that really we called for this, but I was saying toward the tail end of 2023, the last couple of weeks, like, as soon as the calendar changes over, a lot of times, everything resets. So people take profits on, they hold stuff just into the new calendar year, take some profits on things that were big winners, which, you see a lot of the big winners selling off. But yeah, it's a new year. Everyone's P&L goes to zero. So you got to make it all back again and prove yourself once again in the arena of financial markets. Mega caps, as you can imagine, didn't do so great. Apple is a big loser, down 6%. There's a lot of questions around, I guess, the iPhone 15 demand and just iPhone demand in general, how well that's doing. I don't know. I got a new iPhone, but I don't know many people that did. So maybe market's anticipating a weaker holiday season for that. Tesla was down 4.4%, Amazon down 4.4%, Google down 2.9%, Microsoft 2.2%, Nvidia only off 1%, and Facebook outperformed down 0.5%. It's still up here around 350. I mean, the stock I think this was 2023 was the best year for Meta maybe ever as a public company. Now, a lot of that was just sort of the calendar. It came in on multi-year lows at the end of 2022, and then I think it tripled over 2023. So, only gave back a little bit in the first week of 2024. Moving on, industries, we've got pretty soft across the board. Utilities were up 0.3%. Tech was down 4.6%, which is actually worse than what the NASDAQ was. So the median tech stock was doing even worse than the leadership stocks. So it wasn't a great week for tech at all. Services down 3%, industrials down 3.25%, consumer down 3%, and basic materials down 2%, with financials only off 1% and healthcare only off 1.4%. Healthcare was kind of a big loser. It was like a perennial loser, I would say, for the last couple years. But, I guess you could call this outperformance to start 2024. And yeah, subsector wise, we didn't have a whole lot. I mean, we got tankers and shipping, or shipping's not even up 5%, but tankers were up 8%. Tankers kind of just a stupid sector that trades idiosyncratically, doesn't really have much to do with the market overall. And then you can see most sectors, they sort of start tailing off towards unchanged and negative, even up onto the only on the second page. So on the downside, we have a lot of weakness. So solar, 3D printing, sort of spec tech type stuff just got torched. EVs down, semiconductors getting hit. You see a couple semiconductor subsectors on here, and then also some software sectors on here. So really not a good sign to see for risk overall. But we've only got, let's see, first page was 25. So we've got 32 sectors that are down 5%. I mean, nothing egregious, just sort of a standard risk off week. If we look through the breadth by market cap, go here. Yeah, 1 to 5 billion. Down 3.2%, and 5 to 10 billion down 2.86, 10 to 50 billion down 1.972%, mega caps down 1.2, not that bad considering the indices, and terra caps down 7/10, which is actually pretty good considering the S&P was down 1.5 or 1.6%. Qs were down 3, but terra caps 100 billion market cap stocks and up were collectively only down 7/10. So there was some buying going on in the mega cap space. Just wasn't in the familiar winners from the last year. If we look at intelligence for this week, we've got Google bullish, blockchain bullish, Ethereum bullish, inverse VIX is bullish, Argentina is bullish, short Russell is bullish, so bearish Russell, bullish Apple, and bullish the S&P. So we look at the inverse of this. We've got gold miners bearish, retail bearish, tail risk. I think this is sort of like I forget exactly what this is, but I think this sort of is a ETF that buys puts or whatever. It takes volatility long or something for protection, but whatever. I'm going to ignore that. It's bearish this week. Tech bear ETF is bearish, so bullish tech. Now, based on the two sides of this intelligence screen, I think you're going to see, sort of a modestly up week in the market. Maybe it's not going to get everything back that the beginning of the year to date only has 5 days. Okay. Maybe it's not going to get back everything that was lost in the first few days of the year, but I think you're going to find a little bit of stability. Probably some of these stocks are going to come into quote unquote support, and fund managers going to start allocating risk for 2024. I mean, I think so far you had some things that looked pretty good as far as like if you bought, like dogs of the Dow, if you bought the Dow losers last year's Dow losers, they started the year pretty well. So some of these old timey strategies still kind of work from a heuristic standpoint. But I don't know if that's some long-term thing that's going to last. So, I don't think there's really that much cause for concern. It's kind of just a sell-off to start the year. Obviously, market's going to be keeping an eye on rates. Again, long-term rates are very important to valuations in the market and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And so if rates keep moving up, then you're going to see more risk come out of the market. Valuation's going to have to get cheaper to discount those rates. Pretty simple. So that's all from me. We'll see how September continues to shape up. I wouldn't be surprised if the sell-off really if the market stayed relatively soft. I mean, I think it's going to be up this week, but I think like overall you're going to see softness maybe into first 3 weeks of January or something like that, like kind of listless action. But we'll see. So that's it. Hope you guys have a good week out there and that your new year again was fun or enjoyable or whatever. And I'll be back next week. So 2024, ready to go. Bye.